Hi guys, welcome back to Signal Driving School YouTube channel. Recently, I visited Southport Driving Test area on the Gold Coast and drove around a little bit to get a feel of what it's like. I've heard a few things about this center and wanted to see for myself. I'll be driving one of the potential driving test routes, and hopefully this will give you an idea of what to expect if you are doing your driving test at Southport. If you are new to the channel, consider subscribing so that you don't miss out on future driving related videos. Now, before I begin, I want to say that just because I'm driving this route, it doesn't mean that this is the route that your driving examiner is going to take you to. I'm just giving you some ideas and showing you what to expect. If you are doing a driving test at Southport on the Gold Coast, the best way to prepare is to practice around the area and also get some lessons with a local driving instructor. At the moment, Signal Driving School does not cover Southport. Let's hit the road. As you arrive at the test center, the first thing to do is to ensure that you park the vehicle that you are using at the correct spot. If you are using a driving instructor's car, you don't have to worry about this, as they will show you what to do. If you are using your own vehicle, you want to find the parking spots which are reserved for driving tests. It's recommended that you reverse park before the start of the test. Then go inside the office to let the examiner know that you've come for your driving test. You would want to arrive at least 20 minutes before the test schedule time. If you arrive late, your driving test will be cancelled and you have to book a new test. After you check in for your driving test, you may be asked to go back to the car and wait for the driving examiner. So once the driving examiner comes to the vehicle, they will do a walk around and check if the car that you are using is roadworthy. They will tell you to get inside the car and turn the ignition on until the dashboard light comes on, but not to start the engine. They will also ask you to wind down your window so that you can hear what they are saying. Once the examiner is happy that your car is roadworthy, they will enter the car. At this point, you can start the engine. They will then ask you some questions about the car that you are using, so vehicle controls. And so you want to make sure that you go through this with your driving instructor before the test. Some questions include windscreen wipers and the misters. The examiner then tells you to go when you are ready. The first thing that you notice is that there is a giveaway sign here, so we need to give way. So at this giveaway sign, there is no one coming, so we can proceed. At the end, we are going to go left. Now, the first thing that we need to do here is to make sure that there are no pedestrians walking on the footpath. So looking both ways, making sure that there is no pedestrians. No one is there, so we can move forward, and now we need to look for vehicles and cyclists. If there's no one coming, we can continue. And then we're gonna be making a left turn. So to make a left turn, we're gonna check the mirrors, we're gonna indicate, and also we're gonna check the blind spot because there could be bicycles. So this is kind of like a slip lane, so we need to make sure that we turn and we look to the right, make sure no one is coming. If there's no one, we can continue. The speed limit here is 50 kilometers per hour. Also, there's a lot of vehicles which are parked, so we need to make sure that we are not driving too close to them. At the end of this road, we're gonna be making a right turn. This is actually a little bit tricky because it's kind of like you are turning right across multi-lane roads. So we need to make sure that all the 4 lanes are kind of like clear and it's safe to turn. So checking the mirrors, indicating, and then we're gonna make sure that we give way to everybody on the main road. This road can get a bit busy sometime, so we need to be patient. So here there's a safe gap coming up. so we can move forward. Now when we get halfway through, we need to look again, because sometimes you might move forwards and then you might have to stop again. And then the first thing that we notice here is that the speed limit is 60 and there is a red light coming up. So we make sure that we stop at a good distance. I'm driving a manual car, so I have to use first gear at this point. So there is that tram basically which is going around. Now here the trams, they have their own lanes, so even though it can feel like it's a bit scary, but they actually have their own lanes. You're never gonna interact with trams. It's not like what you kind of like get in Melbourne or somewhere like that. The trams, they will have their own lanes, so we don't really have to worry too much. It's green, so we look both ways and then we can proceed. So remembering here the speed limit is 60, and then we're gonna be making a right turn at the traffic lights. So to turn right, we check our mirrors, indicate. Now this is a green light with no arrow, so we need to give way to oncoming traffic. This is again can be a bit tricky. No one is coming, so we can turn. And then here we are going to be doing our first maneuver, which is a reverse parallel park. So we check our mirrors, indicate left, and then we need to line up with this car parked on the left. So making sure that we are not too close and not too far. And then we're gonna let all the vehicles behind pass. So we check our mirrors, blind spots, look behind physically. I'm using like a 45-degree technique here. So if you need to learn this technique, there is a video on the channel that shows you how to do this. So making sure that we keep checking. If there are vehicles coming from behind, we need to stop. So there's a car here coming. I've stopped because I need to give way to it. So once the car passes, I can proceed with my maneuver. So here my reverse parallel park was a success, so which is good. And now I'm gonna move off again. So to move off, we check our mirrors, indicate blind spot, and then we can move off. There was no speed limit on this road, so the speed limit is 50. Again, here there's a lot of parked vehicles, so we need to make sure that we are not driving too close to them. And then there is a sharp bend coming up, and they recommend a speed limit of about 20 kilometers per hour, so we need to be going a bit slow and also keeping to the left, because if we end up on the wrong side, this will be immediate failing the driving test. So here we pass parked vehicles, and immediately after passing parked vehicles, we need to reposition the vehicle to the left. If we keep driving in the middle, we might be driving on the wrong side of the road. So there's more parked vehicles here, so we need again to make sure we give way if there's any car coming. Also making sure that we maintain a safe distance from the parked vehicles. At the end of the road, I'm gonna be making a right turn, and there is a give way sign. This turn is actually a little bit hard to see, so we need to make sure that we have good visibility before turning. So it's safe to turn, so we can turn. coming up is a roundabout and I'm gonna be going straight at the roundabout. So to go straight, I need to make sure that I give way to everybody inside the roundabout. So there's a bus coming here, so I need to give way to the bus. Okay, it's safe to go, so we can continue and then indicate left on the way out. So continuing on, there is a sign there which shows that the speed limit is 50. And this is going downhill, so this can actually be a bit tricky with speed management. We need to make sure that we are managing the speed properly. There is a roundabout coming up, so this roundabout I'm gonna be turning right, so that will be the third exit. So checking the mirrors, indicating right, slowing down the car, and also making sure that I look inside the roundabout. If there is no one coming, there's a car coming, so I give way to it. And then if it's safe to go, so I can continue. And then indicate left to exit the roundabout. And then once I exit, I again notice that the speed limit is 50. There's a school zone. I did this drive after 2 o'clock, so I need to make sure that I'm doing around 40. And then here I'm gonna be pulling over on the left, and then I'm gonna be doing the second maneuver. So the maneuver that I'm gonna do here is a straight line reverse. So to do this is the first thing we need to make sure that there's no one coming from behind. So checking the mirrors, blind spots. And then when we are doing this maneuver, we need to physically look behind. And if there's a car coming from behind, we need to stop. So usually examiners get people to reverse for about 20-30 meters. So once you finish, if you're driving automatic car, go back to drive, and then your examiner usually they tell you to move off when you're ready. So checking the mirrors, indicating right, blind spot. So making sure here we maintain a safe distance from ourselves and these parked vehicles. And then after we pass the parked vehicles, we need to reposition the car to the left. At the end of the road, there is markings which shows that we can only go left. In these situations, the examiner does not give you directions. So we're gonna go left, and then at the traffic lights, we're gonna go right. So to go right at the traffic lights, we need to be in the right lane. So indicating right and getting into the right lane. So here the traffic lights are red, so we need to stop behind the solid white line. Once we get a green arrow, we can look both sides and then we can do the turn. So straight after turning, we need to look out for any speed limit. There's also a merging lane here on the left, so we need to check the left-hand side. So the speed limit is 60. So here we are coming across parked vehicles, so we need to make sure that we stop at a good distance from them, so not too close. It's also slightly steep here, so because I'm doing this drive in a manual transmission, I'm using a handbrake to do a bit of a hill start here. But of course, if you are using an automatic car, you don't have to really worry too much about this, because this hill is not too steep. The car is not gonna roll back. So here we're gonna move off. The speed limit is still 60. So we're gonna be going left. So checking the mirrors, indicating left, slowing down, and then we can turn. Again, here there's parked vehicles. In this situation, we kind of like slow down a little bit. There is also a roundabout coming up here. We're gonna be going right at the roundabout. So we're gonna check the mirrors, indicate, and then check inside the roundabout, make sure it's safe to proceed. And then before we exit the roundabout, we have to indicate left. Now, straight after turning right at the roundabout, you can see that there is a sign 50 kilometers per hour. And this road is gonna be 50 for almost about, I think, almost 2 kilometers. So speed management is very important on this road. Now coming up is a school zone, and the time here that I'm doing this drive is between 2 and 4, which means that I have to make sure that I slow down to 40. So here's the school zone. It's actually flashing as well, so I need to make sure by the time I get to this sign I'm already doing 40, and then we have to continue doing 40 until we get to the next sign. There is also a pedestrian crossing coming up, so I need to give way to any pedestrian. So looking both sides, if there's no one, we can proceed. Also, we have to be careful with these school children. There's a bend here with recommended speed of 20 kilometers per hour. So here we are passing a 50 kilometers per hour sign, so that's the end of the school zone. There is a crossroad coming up, so I'm gonna be going right at the crossroad. And also here there is a stop sign, so we need to make sure that we come to a complete stop first. This is actually a bit of a tricky one. It's a situation which you don't find in many places. First we need to look one side, and then we go forwards, and then we need to look again and give way to anybody. So here that lane car is kind of like waiting, they are not turning, so we can just turn. And then straight after turning, there is no speed limit, so we need to assume that the speed limit is 50. And then at this roundabout, we're gonna continue straight. So we're gonna take the second exit. So looking inside the roundabout, and on the right, if there's no one coming, we can go and then indicate left on the way out. So keeping in mind that the speed limit here is 50. At the end of this road, we're gonna be turning left. There is also a stop sign, so we need to stop completely first. So here we come, we need to stop completely at the stop line. Now also here, sometimes the traffic lights will turn on. So if the traffic lights are on, we need to stop and wait until the traffic lights goes off. And then once we stop, we have to go forwards and then we need to look again. So it's safe to turn, so we can turn. And then I'm gonna straight away go into the right lane because I'm gonna be making a U-turn at the traffic lights. The speed limit is 60. So we need to indicate and then we go into the right lane. And then here we have to make sure that we stop at a good distance from this car in front of us. Now at this traffic lights, we're gonna do a U-turn. The only reason we are doing a U-turn is because the center is actually on the right hand side. A lot of times examiners get people to do a U-turn at these traffic lights and then go back to the test center. We can do a U-turn because there is a sign which says that U-turn permitted. So here we can go and then we do a U-turn. After we do the U-turn, we want to end up in the left lane because we're gonna be turning left to go back into the test center. So to go left, we have to go mirrors, indicator, and then we need to check the blind spot because there is a bicycle lane. And then as we go inside here, usually this will be the end of the driving test. The examiner will get people to park at the place which are reserved for driving tests. But in my case here, I'm gonna be parking on the left hand side. When you coming back from the driving test, you can just park forward facing. You don't have to reverse park. So I'm gonna park on the right. And usually once you finish, you want to secure your vehicle. So if you are driving an automatic car, make sure that you put the car in park, and then you have to secure the vehicle with the handbrake or maybe parking brake, and then switch off the engine. So from here, what happens is the examiner will take you back into the office to tell you whether you passed or whether you failed. So that's the end of the drive, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Southport is actually not too difficult. I think there's a few tricky places that I find can catch out people, but I think if you go there and practice around, you should be okay. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next driving related video.